Okay, 3, 2, 1, we are live.
Hello, everyone. This is Pradeep Goel, and it is indeed a pleasure to speak to you all. It has been a very long time since we had this opportunity to connect with each other. And today we have scheduled an hour, and there is a lot to cover. So I've asked the team to set up a second session, an interactive session next Friday, where we will talk on Telegram. So today I'm going to give you a very complete status update, starting with my own views of where we are. And hopefully this will answer many of your questions, but there will be many more questions from you, and I hope there are. So next week, next Friday, we will do an interactive session on the AMA, on the Telegram, so you can chat with me. So let's get started, because I have a lot to cover with you. But before we get started with the company update, I want to share with you a few things, few personal things. The first thing is that I'm broadcasting this session with you from our new office in Hungary. So Solve.Care has opened a new location in Hungary, not very far from the border in Ukraine, about 2 hours. And we have successfully relocated many of our team members from Ukraine to here. That's very good news. It's very important because we needed to ensure the safety of our team members. And I'm very pleased to say that we were able to plan, react, and also to manage the situation in Ukraine by thinking ahead. So in a nutshell, despite the war in Ukraine, none of our team members were injured or their families. We were able to maintain full business continuity, although of course every individual has been significantly impacted personally, including myself, but no one was injured, no one was disrupted from their ability to work. And we have stood up Solve.Care Hungary officially, which then gives us an alternative location to Solve.Care Ukraine. So while all of us hope to return to Ukraine soon and hope to reestablish operations in our office in Ukraine, we don't need to be homeless in the meanwhile. So our office in Hungary is fully functional. That's where I'm broadcasting from today. It's a nice city. It's a very pleasant city. And all our team members have already been settled in here with their apartments, and our office is in fully functioning mode. And we are meeting here like normal, operating here like normal. So that's very good news, because many companies have been disrupted. And of course it was and is a matter of importance to you to understand that we have managed ourselves really well throughout this situation in the last 35, 40 days. And that our ability to perform and stay focused is unchanged. And I want to use this time to thank all of you who supported us, reached out to us, to me personally, to many of you reached out to my team members, asking if we are okay, and we are. Thank you for your concern. And we are back in business with very little interruption. There was about a week when we were in the midst of migrating everyone from Ukraine to Hungary, when we were not at work as normal. But once we got here and our office has been started and set up, we're back in business. I should also say that other locations of Solve.Care in the US, in Korea, in India, continued their operations without any interruption at all. And it is because of their support that the Ukraine team could focus on evacuation and relocation. So the company kept working, even as a smaller subset of the company needed to deal with evacuation and leaving their homeland and coming to a new place. So the Solve.Care Hungary location, I believe, will be permanent in the sense that we will have an office here for the long haul. Even though many of our team members would like to go back to Ukraine at the earliest convenient and possible time, we do think that a second location in the EU is important. And I will explain that later as we go through my update, why we think a second location in a place like Debrecen, where we are now located, is an important addition to the Solve.Care family of companies. So as you know, we have headquarters in Estonia. We used to have our operational headquarters in Ukraine, which is now relocated to Hungary. We have Solve.Care in India. We have Solve.Care in the US. We have Solve.Care in Korea. And all those offices will continue to perform. And instead of having one operational headquarters based in Ukraine, we will have Solve.Care Hungary and Solve.Care Ukraine when it is possible to restart. So please join me in thanking everyone who supported Solve.Care during this time frame of significant peril and risk to the team. And I'm very pleased with the fact that we managed this difficult period very, very well. Now, let's get started with my session. So before we get into the details, I want to share with you my personal views of where we are. So 2021 was a tough year for us, and a tough year in general for the market, and particularly when we were looking at all the changes in laws in the US and all the things that we had to deal with. And 2022 started even tougher with the war in Ukraine. It was really disruptive in terms of people's ability to focus. I do understand that our community is feeling down and discouraged because you don't see the kind of progress that you were looking for, but that is more of a perception than reality. And hopefully today that will help you differentiate between perception and reality. But what I do want to say to you is that we are stronger than we have ever been before by any standard that is important. So first is that we have more clients now than any point in our history. We have more diversity in our client base than any point in our history. We have bigger demand for care networks than any time in the past. The backlog of care networks that people want to author on our platform is growing quickly and long. Our platform has matured more than any other point in our history in terms of both the care wallet and the care platform. Particularly the authorability of our platform is much, much better than we have ever had. We have more partnerships in the works than we have had in the last 5 years combined. So if you look at all the partnerships that we have ever had, we have more partnerships in the process than all of the 5 years in the past combined. And most importantly, in my opinion, we have the ability and the plan to raise more capital than we have raised in the last 5 years, including the ICO. So there is significant amount of capital available to us, and we plan to ensure that that capital is raised by the company for growth. And we do have enough cash in hand to operate forcefully. So we are not looking to the capital to function, but we are definitely looking to the capital to grow quickly. So in terms of the key measures of the company, I feel that the company is in a very good place. What's also interesting to note from my personal view is that the work we did in Ukraine during the war in the last 30 days has opened up some new and interesting horizons for our platform. More on that as they develop. But what has become very clear is that both in Europe, in EU, and in US, our profile has been raised significantly from the work we did in the last 30 days in Ukraine. And there is now a conversation about how the Solve.Care platform can be used in situations like the war in Ukraine in the future, how we can be a platform where global crises of this scale can be handled through a blockchain solution. So if things are that good, why is it that things are taking so long? And I would agree with you that things are taking a while. But when I really step back and think about it, We are a company that is building the foundational platform for a new decentralized model of healthcare. We're not just building a protocol for swapping tokens or just launching a token or launching an NFT marketplace. Those are all very valid things, but they are nothing compared to what we are trying to do. And the only way we are going to achieve global adoption of our platform is if we can make a truly networked D-app, what we call a care card, to be authored easily by business people, non-crypto, non-blockchain community. So the adoption is purely a function of how easily can you author a truly networked decentralized application, in our world, a care card, and how effective that care card can be in meeting business needs. That's what's going to drive adoption worldwide. So while there's a lot of conversation about layer 3 protocols and Web 3.0 platforms, and a lot of people are speculating that what they might be, we are actually doing it. We are keeping our heads down, working hard to make sure that the company and the platform not only achieve a top 10 status in blockchain and crypto, but we actually stay there, that we don't come in and out of our position in the market based on real adoption. So my personal view is that the road has been long, but we are stronger than ever. And this is the year where we should start to see fruit of our labor. And we had hoped for that fruit of our labor to be 2 years ago. But things that are this big and this fundamental take longer than one always expects and hopes. But I'm very confident that when you go through what we have accomplished and what we are working on and what we see as the fundamentals of the company, then we are exactly where Amazon was when their stock crashed and everybody started to ask, is e-commerce really a thing? And the answer was yes, it is a very big thing, but you have to give it time to mature and give it time for true infrastructure to be in place and adoption to be in place. So I see us very similar in our evolution. Things are absolutely falling in place, not by accident, but by hard work. And we are better positioned than ever to see the adoption that we've been waiting for. So yes, it has taken a while, but yes, we are further along than we ever have been. Now, let me give you an update on last 2 quarters, because we haven't really been able to talk much in the last 6 months. It has been very, very busy. So I want to bring your attention to the left column first, what was accomplished. We'll talk about what is work in progress later. So what has been accomplished is that we have stood up. So there's a lot here, and I will try to be brief, but it's going to be difficult to be brief. So let's just stay focused on each item at a time. So first item, Global Telehealth Exchange is now a separate company called Global Telehealth Inc. We call it GTHI. Global Telehealth Inc. is now a Wyoming-based C corporation, and that entity owns and operates the Global Telehealth Exchange, not just in the US, but worldwide. So Global Telehealth Inc. is now an independent company. Why is that important? It's really important for 3 reasons. First, we need to separate Solve.Care Foundation, the platform token community organization, from the network organization, because Global Telehealth Exchange is a network on our platform. And we want to make sure that the network business and the platform business don't mingle with each other. So GTHI is spun out so that Solve.Care Foundation can stay focused on the platform, token, and you, the community. And any network and every network built on our platform is its own independent business. And they are a client to the foundation. So GTHI now is officially a client of Solve.Care Foundation and has a client relationship and a client agreement with Solve.Care Foundation. Which means the second point, it's important. When GTHI is operating and raising capital and is trying to grow the adoption of the Global Telehealth Exchange, it can raise capital independently from the foundation. Its own business model, different than the crypto business model of our platform. Because the foundation makes its money from utilization of the platform in Solve tokens. GTHI makes its money differently. It makes its money from teleconsultations between doctor and patient. Those consultations are paid in Solve token, but GTHI makes its money by taking a percentage of that consultation fee. So very different business model, very different leadership model, and very different funding model. So GTHI is now set up as a standalone entity, and we are financing it on a separate basis than Solve.Care Foundation. The second thing that's important about GTHI is that we have stood up Global Telehealth Inc. with very consciously in a manner that both the state of Wyoming and the University of Wyoming are involved from day one. And that means that we are building an organization where the local community is very involved in this operation. And that's very important because healthcare is a very highly regulated space. And we want to make sure that we have proper support from the local government in terms of scaling our business and in terms of expanding it worldwide and having the proper laws to protect us. So that is done. Sujata Kumaraswamy is the Vice President of Operations hired to run GTHI, and she has hired operations managers and has taken up the appropriate facilities and is now in the midst of setting up all the other functions and processes for GTHI to serve physicians around the world and patients around the world. So GTHI is officially created, operational, and is being managed by our VP of Operations. The third thing that was really important and difficult to do, but done, is that we were able to get a special designation for where GTHI is located. It's called the TEA. It is a Targeted Economic Area designation. And if you are designated as a TEA organization, then you are allowed to raise funds on a priority basis from foreign investors. So this designation is something that the state of Wyoming had to give us. And thanks to the work that Sujata did in building relationships with the state and the documentation that we provided in our business model, GTHI now has been designated with the appropriate TEA designation. And that's a very big deal because we are looking to raise capital for GTHI. And I'll talk about that in a minute. And this designation gives us a priority status. The next thing that we did in terms of GTHI is that we are working with the state of Wyoming to help us attract and train our operational staff. So we have submitted a grant request from the state of Wyoming to do training of our staff to essentially allow us to offset the cost of hiring provider support and patient support teams. And the state of Wyoming has been very collaborative with us in not only identifying the grant, but helping us write it. So we are working with them closely and we expect the grant to be approved in a very short time frame, which helps Sujata hire and train people with the state participating in that process. And I should say that the state of Wyoming has been helping the GTHI team with more than the grant. They've been very helpful in finding the office location. They've been very helpful in getting us connected to the University of Wyoming, where we have started a series of projects where we have given them grant money to do research and development of some GTHI and Solve token functionality. So this relationship with the state of Wyoming and with the University of Wyoming took a lot of effort last year, but this year we are starting to see really good results. Now, the next big objective that we tried to accomplish last year was to raise capital for GTHI/GTHI. And it was our target last year to raise $20 million. And we were pursuing this funding through a special program, a special federal program in the United States. And that program was put on hold by US government in the Q4 of 2021. And as a result, we realized that we had an opportunity to work with the US government. So we did successful lobbying efforts in Washington, DC to restart this program, but with better terms. And only last week, literally last week, a new law was passed in Washington, DC which not only restarts the EB5 program, but it's restarted the program in a manner that is highly advantageous to raising capital for GTHI. So while we were delayed in the fundraising by about 100 days because the law was put on hold and the program was suspended by the US government, US Senate and Congress have just reauthorized the program with much better conditions. And the end result of that is that we are able to raise about 25% greater capital for GTHI with better market conditions and better terms. So we have restarted our fundraising for GTHI with an increased target of 25 million, and our terms are a lot better. And we believe that in the new law that the government just passed, our ability to attract capital is not only increased, but our ability to attract more capital at equivalent of the same cost as before is a very good thing. So in other words, the cost of capital at 20 million is about the same now at 25 million. So we can raise 5 million more and it will cost us effectively the same amount of money in terms of cost of capital. So that's a very good thing. So that's the quick summary on GTHI. Now, we are looking to put things in certain sequence. Because the funding for GTHE was delayed in the last quarter of 2021, we are looking to prioritize the fundraising over everything else. Because I want to share with you my personal fundamental view. It's never the software that ultimately makes a difference between great companies that make a lot of profit and companies that die along the way. The biggest reason, the biggest difference between a company that survives, succeeds, and grows and becomes a top 10 company in their market or top 3 company in their market, and the one that doesn't, is always capital. If you don't have access to good capital, your best ideas will not see the light of day. You will eventually run out of money, or you will eventually be bought by somebody with more money, and they will monetize your invention or your idea better than you can. Capital is a key concern, always. And capital is what differentiates between companies that have staying power and companies that don't, following which is revenue. Because capital should be used to generate revenue. And revenue is what ultimately differentiates the winners and the losers. But to get to revenue in a new market, in a brand new innovative place like blockchain in healthcare or teleconsultation using decentralized identity and data or global teleconsultation framework, these are brand new ideas with brand new markets being created. Capital is rule number 1, because without that capital, you will never be able to convert the idea into a market, into adoption, and into revenue. So I'm very much focused on ensuring that GTHI fundraising project is restarted. And in the corporate priority, that's priority number 1. And my personal priority as CEO, that's priority number 1. So yes, we took about a 100-day delay when we were waiting for the law to be clarified, and there was some risk that the law wouldn't be passed at all. So we spent a lot of time lobbying for a good set of terms to be published. And I'm very, very pleased to say that not just our efforts, many companies probably participated behind the scenes. But regardless, the collective effort is that we have a very good model for raising capital. And it's really timely, because if you think about it, with all the market turbulence from the war, from the inflation fears, from the inevitable crypto winter that everybody's waiting for or worried about, there is a clear risk that capital will be more constrained, that availability of capital will shrink. Rising interest rates from the federal government in the United States, from the Federal Reserve rather, and definitely the inflation that's kicking in, and the global destabilization from the war in Europe, these are not good things for business. They never are. So we should be fully prepared that capital markets will at some point react and constrain the availability, especially to startups or to innovative solutions that are pre-revenue. And our goal is to not only get to revenue, but to have enough reserves so that we can scale the revenue when the capital becomes scarce. So we are the buyer, not the seller of the idea. We are the buyer of assets, not the seller of assets. So it's really, really, really important that we focus on the capital raise. And while I had hoped to accomplish the capital raise entirely last year, and we did a lot of work last year, all that work can be now used in a slightly or a significantly better terms and with larger amount of capital to be had. Now, I do want to talk about something that we did in Ukraine over the last 35 days. I'll tell you a few personal stories here that happened. Around the beginning of February, end of January, I think February 7th, February 8th, I called a meeting of all our team in Ukraine, and I informed them that in my view, the risk of war had risen to a point where we had to start taking preemptive action. Remember, this is 2.5 weeks before anybody even seriously considered that the war is even possible or feasible or probable. And in fact, everybody in the company and outside, including the government in Ukraine, told us that we are being paranoid. There is no probability that the war will erupt. But I asked the team to prepare a plan A and a plan B should the war erupt. And that plan was A, how to get everybody out of danger, and B, how to have business continuity should this happen. And we did some very good things. Right in the first week of February, we sent out a team from Kiev to the southwest of Ukraine. And we told them to go out there and set up an office, set up apartments, and to basically have a second operating location for Solve.Care if things go wrong. And while there was no real fear anywhere, we were able to quickly go in and get the leases and get the apartments and create all the necessary infrastructure, internet, and so on, because no one was concerned. And in fact, we heard stories from locals like, why are you wasting money? Why are you setting up office and apartments when you're not sure if somebody will ever come? And my answer was, let it be a waste. If the war never comes, then this was a very good insurance policy. And a few $1,000s invested in this insurance is not a bad idea. But if the war comes, it's going to be the difference between life and death. So anyway, we set up everything in the west and southwest of Ukraine, even before anybody was believing that a war will come. The second thing that we did is we created an evacuation plan where we set up a very detailed plan of immediate evacuation, where people could leave their homes with a 30-minute notice. We thought through everything: fuel for the cars, cash for the road, food in the vehicle, blankets for kids, making sure they have a direction printed out in their car should the GPS system stop working. We even stood up personal safe houses on the way where there is food and water and money and gas, where they can stop and refill their vehicles and medicine if they need it. And so we plotted everything like an army project. And we made sure that our entire team in Ukraine was ready to move from areas under attack to the safe houses with a 30-minute notice. And we practiced this drill. And everyone found that to be amusing, that we are in a completely peaceful city in the capital of Ukraine, where life is going on as normal. Cafes are open, people are going about their life. And here we are, Solve.Care, planning everything to this degree, as if we are operating, a battalion in the army. But we did. So when the war broke, we were able to move everybody immediately. It took us literally hours to get everybody out. So no one got stuck on a crowded train. Nobody got hammered, by bombs in a bomb shelter. Everybody was able to get out. And when they came to the Western Ukraine, they had apartments and they had food and everything waiting for them. So there was no trauma, or at least there was no significant trauma in terms of personal risk. Although, of course, it is a very big psychological risk to the team. So anyway, long and short of it is that planning led to Solve.Care team evacuating from Ukraine very, very quickly to the western side. And then we had a plan C in place that if we felt that the war would go on and on, because nobody expected the war would go more than a week or two if it did start, then we would have the ability to relocate outside of Ukraine. And that's how Solve.Care Hungary plan was built. And when the time came, we activated that plan. And as a result, we were able to get everybody out from Ukraine into Hungary. Now, while we have done all that, we also decided to help others who were not so fortunate, who didn't have the foresight or the planning in place that we did. Our team got out very easily, but others could not. So in the 30 days since the war has broken out in Ukraine, we have stood up 7 care shelters. We started a project in the Western Ukraine to create temporary housing for people running from war, women and children, elderly. And in our keeping with our brand, we call these shelters care shelters. And we have stood up 7 care shelters in the Western Ukraine with 800 beds. And we believe we are the largest shelter program that was done by anyone, government or private, or Red Cross or Blue Cross or White Cross. And Solve.Care team, some of the Solve.Care team members in Western Ukraine are operating and managing these 800-bed shelters. And we are growing them. Now, we're not an aid agency, right? We are not Red Cross. We don't get aid funding. And we are not really designed to be a charity. But we needed to do this because, one, I wanted the team to have pride. I wanted the team to feel like they took care of others, when the best way to be strong in a moment of great risk and great peril is to help others. The best way to overcome your fears is to help others who are more fearful than you. So this activity gave our team in Ukraine enormous pride and enormous focus. When they couldn't do anything else, they could build these shelters. And we are now housing thousands of people a week in these shelters, and we're very proud of them. But there was an unexpected bonus as well. Because we did this, and we did this partly with our own money and partly with some donations from friends and family and colleagues and members of the Government Blockchain Association, other members of the blockchain community, that results that we produced with very little money got the attention of some very important and interesting people. So we have been able to leverage, not that we plan to, but we are able to now leverage our work in Ukraine in our conversations with clients. We have a very different conversation with clients now, pharmaceutical companies, hospitals, insurance companies, who in every meeting that I have always start by congratulating Solve.Care for its work in Western Ukraine. And then we talk about business. It is a completely different conversation. And the result of that is that we were working on a major hospital deal for, I think, 9 months in the United States, in the Northeast of the United States, a major name, a major hospital with a very big marquee brand. And their chief medical officer was always too busy to really move the things forward. But when we got on the phone with them about 10 days ago, the first thing out of their mouth, the whole team or the hospital leadership, was, what you guys are doing is absolutely amazing. We are absolutely convinced that you are the kind of company and partner we want. So send us a proposal and let's get it done. So from being unable to get their attention to closing the deal was about 30 minutes. And that is a result of the work that the team did in Ukraine, because we did it not for glory, not for medals, and not for anything, but because people need help. When you see women and children coming off the train broken and dazed, you don't want to just sit and watch, you want to do something. So we did, and we did something really big. But the end result is that having done that, we have received enormous support from government agencies, from various large charity organizations, but more importantly from clients. That's very, very good. We didn't expect it. We don't really want to say that we did what we did in Ukraine should be a payoff for us, but there is definitely a payoff. And that's very nice. We appreciate the appreciation that we are getting from clients. Whether it's Beringer Ingelheim's leadership, or whether it is the hospital leadership, or my old insurance network and Blue Cross that is reaching out to me day and night, saying, how can we help? How can we support? These are very good connections that we are formulating. And I think that will be a very good thing for Solve.Care in 2022 to leverage. Now, let's move forward to one of my most exciting and most proud things for 2022 that Raj and his team have finished, and I'm really excited about this. Now we switch back to product, and we switch back to blockchain, and we switch back to token. So last year we had spent our time to form partnerships with companies like AliveCore, where we started to form partnerships around the connectivity between the home-based clinical devices and Care Wallet. When we did that, we realized immediately that it's not the data collection that makes any difference. There are so many applications out there that collect healthcare data. Your Apple Watch collects a bunch of data. Your Samsung Galaxy wearable device collects a bunch of data. You can get a blood pressure monitor and collect your blood pressure. But why aren't doctors using this information? And what we found after talking to many physicians and big hospital systems, that they deem this data to be useless. What they told us was, look, patient collected data, randomly collected, morning, afternoon, evening, over 30 days, looks really good on a chart or a graph, but it has no clinical value whatsoever. Because we don't know if this data was collected, with the proper context. So we understood that this random data collection by the consumer, while it's cool and attractive, isn't doing anything in terms of clinical value, clinical quality. So we decided to work on an enhancement to the Care Wallet, where we can have a device to doctor clinical data custody chain. And we have the ability for the doctor to specify what data they want actually to collect and have the wallet enforce that specification. So think of it like a data prescription card. We all know medicine prescription. The doctor tells you take 2 Tylenols before breakfast and 2 before lunch and take 1 Advil after dinner. That's a medicine prescription. But there is also a concept we invented called data prescription, where the doctor can send a care card to the Care Wallet and say, I want heart rate before fasting heart rate and your glucose level before you have breakfast, and I want second rate checked during the afternoon when you're working, and third, I want to check when you are about to sleep. So they can create a data prescription. Not only that, the doctor needs to know that this data did not get altered in any way. It cannot be data that they have any questions about, because they're going to make clinical diagnosis on this data. So first, they need to have the right context for this data. Second, the data needs to be collected at the right time with the right cadence. And third, the data must be encrypted and secured and signed by the patient. So we have built this entire, what we call device to doctor chain of custody, which allows the doctor to prescribe the data, the wallet and the devices connected to the wallet to capture the data, or the patient to enter that data into the wallet with digital signatures, and that data to be layered into a proper ledger, which the ledger can then be automatically shared or seen by the doctor, and the patient has control over when, how long, and how many days worth of data does the doctor see. Complete device to doctor chain of clinical data, custody chain of clinical data. Now, we've been working on that quietly for about 6 months, and finally it is done. And I saw the version 1 of device to doctor chain last week, and of course I want to enhance and improve it in the next release, but it is a very big accomplishment. Now, why is that important? Going back to the previous comment about the major hospital in the Northeast, when we presented to them the concept of device to doctor clinical data safety, they were absolutely and immediately intrigued that this is even possible and can be done. So not only can we sell them a care network, which is what, of course, our default position is and what we sell to every client, we can layer in this as a very unique hospital-sponsored data collection routine. And that is very financially attractive to them. It's very attractive because it can be paid for by the government. And there are many programs in Medicare and Medicaid in the US where data collection is a paid activity. So this opens up a whole new market for us, and we are very excited about it. So this is done in the done column. As part of that whole data collection capability, we had to upgrade the Care Wallet. So the Care Wallet was upgraded because one of the biggest complaints about Care Wallet has been, hey, I downloaded it, but I can't join any network because there is no network where I live, or I'm not part of the insurance company that has built the network. So I don't live in Arizona, so I can't join Arizona Care Network. So what's the point of the Care Wallet? And why should I download it? And that was a valid criticism. So now we have finished a Care Wallet where you don't need to join the network to use the devices, which means that you can always join the network, like Arizona Care Network or the Diabetes Care Network or any other network authored by a network sponsor, but you don't have to. So now the Care Wallet lets you create your own care circle, your own private network called your care circle, and lets you connect your data devices to this Care Wallet, build your device to doctor clinical chain, share it with the doctor whether they have a Care Wallet or not. So now the utility of Care Wallet increases significantly because you don't need to use the Care Wallet only in the context of the care network. You can and you should, but you can also use a Care Wallet outside the context of the care network. So Raj and team are working to release this version of the Care Wallet, which allows you to essentially download and use it as a meaningfully important, very valuable app. But if you don't have a network in your region right now, you still can use it and do something very meaningful and important with it. So that's done. And that's the release we are currently working on. Now, the next thing that is related to that is in the new Care Wallet, every time you send or receive a care card, including the care ledger, where your device data is stored, you will automatically be responsible for paying the event fee. So sending a card or receiving a card can be configured as care events. They are standardized care events. And the mainnet will charge your wallet a 0.001 Solve token for every sending or receiving of care card from wallet A to wallet B. What that means is that we can start not only driving the use of Care Wallet, but we can also start monetizing the use of data in the Care Wallet. So for example, let me give you a use case. Let's say that Harvard Medical wants you to join their diabetes care program, and they want you to collect data for using your continuous glucose monitoring patch on your arm made by, let's say, Abbott. And they are willing to supply you the patch, and they are asking you, Pradeep, please keep this patch on for 30 days, and we want to collect data from you at 4 a.m., 6 a.m., 8 a.m., 10 a.m. We want 12 readings in 24-hour period. And if you agree to do that, we'll give you X amount of money for that data. Plus, we'll give you proper care. Now you can just simply do that by sending a data prescription card to Pradeep's wallet. And that data prescription card says, I want 12 readings every 2 hours from his CGM patch. And when that data is collected for 30 days, I'm going to put so many tokens in Pradeep's wallet as their payment. But if he only does 15 readings, then he gets so much. And if he does only 7 readings, he gets this much. And if he does less than so many readings, he gets nothing. But now the patient can immediately and automatically monetize their data, or they can say, no, thank you. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to share my care ledger with you, in which case, neither the data will go to Harvard, nor will they send you a token. But this capability of monetization of real-time contextually relevant data with a certified chain of custody is an absolutely fantastic accomplishment, because now we can use it in clinical trials, we can use it in care management, we can use it in research, we can use it to run collaborative, community-oriented, care therapy and sessions and collaboration. You can do 100 things with this, but the patient is in control of their data and they are instantly monetized and paid in Solve tokens. So this is a big deal. Right now, in the new Care Wallet, the standard cost of sending or receiving a card is 0.001 Solve. It's not configurable today. In the next release, we will allow care networks to override it with a larger amount. So if you are a care network sponsor and you want to charge 0.002 Solve, you'll be able to do that. And you will keep 001 and we'll keep 001. But the baseline cost that Solve.Care will charge is 0.001 Solve token per event. And we calculate this very carefully. Basically, it means it's 1,000 events per Solve. And our thinking was this, that let's imagine that Solve is at $10. Now, will I be able to afford Care Wallet and Care Card sharing at $10 Solve? The answer is yes. Because a family of 4, husband, wife, and 2 kids, if you look at their parameters of a care in a G20 country, if their average health, we are expecting that they will generate between 500 and 700 events a year, which means they're going to spend approximately 1 Solve token in a year. So they're spending $1 a month, right? Give or take, or 75 cents a month. That's affordable even in a poor country. So now it gets a little bit more challenging if Solve is at $100. Now, of course, you're talking about spending $7 to $10 per family per month. But in that scenario, we can implement data monetization and other techniques where if the Solve price has gone so high that even 1,000th of a Solve is a painful amount for a working class Care Wallet holder, then we can create programs like earnbacks. If you submit your data on a timely basis, you get an earn back, you get cash back, if you will, or token back. So we're looking through that. But our calculation shows that at a $10 Solve, a 0.001 Solve token per event is very affordable for a family of 4. So that's how we came up with the calculation of what a single card sharing event will cost a Care Wallet holder. And that's the price that is baked into the new mainnet. Moving forward, let me go to the next topic. As you all may know or may not know, we have appointed Dr. An Lee in Korea, in South Korea, as the president of Solve.Care Korea. Solve.Care Korea was created last year with the idea that we are going to launch care networks in Korea. And with his leadership, we have decided that he will focus on metaverse-enabled care networks. Let me explain what that means. So our vision for Korea is to launch a home hospital network, a network that gives you an alternative to running to the hospital for most conditions, where there is continuity of care and where there is not just a teleconsultation between the doctor and the patient, but a collaborative care model where multiple specialties can collaborate around a single patient's needs. So that collaborative care model or home hospital is what Dr. Lee's vision has been from the beginning, and that's what we wanted to support. But recently we realized that this collaboration has to include more than just physician collaboration. We have to do patient collaboration as well, and patient-family collaboration. And Dr. Lee came up with the idea that we should use a metaverse type of a model where the Care Wallet participants can join or exit a collective collaborative environment, a universe where patients can interact with each other without revealing their identity, but they can share in their personal and clinical experience, and they can be shown how to do certain things like take your glucose meter properly, use your glucose meter properly, or to inject yourself with insulin properly, all those things that drive better home experience. So we've asked Dr. Lee to lead that effort. So we're going to let our Korea team be the metaverse team. They're going to lead that. We're going to keep the rest of the team focused on normal platform token community activity, and all the cutting edge virtual reality and metaverse type functionality, we will give this to Dr. Lee and his team to manage and to build. So that he's now officially on board as our president of Solve.Care Korea, and I am looking forward to working with him this year and giving him all the support and tools that he needs to extend to use care networks in a very unique and very interesting way. Now, a few other things that are very important. For us to raise capital for the Solve.Care Foundation and or for GTHI, we need to make sure that everything that we do is audited. So I'm very pleased to say that we have submitted the 2021 financial statements to the auditors. We're already audited from 2017 to 2020. So this will bring us fully up to date. To get these things done in Q1 is a big deal. In my long career, I've always held that if an accounting team can close the books in Q1, then you are running a good operation. So with Ian did that. He made sure that all our books were closed and auditors are able to audit us. And today is April 1, and the books are already in the hands of the auditors, which means that every transaction we have done, whether it's crypto or whether it is salaries or whether we have bought an asset, whether we have sold an asset, everything is audited and published to the government in Estonia. So we are as clean as a public company would be, because small startups typically don't even bother, and most early stage companies have a difficult time passing an audit. But we have, and we will continue to do so. So that's a big accomplishment. And I know that this is not something that's on anybody's radar typically, especially when you're talking about innovative tech companies. But this is really important if you're going to raise capital and if you're going to have government contracts. But if you're going to convince a new Boehringer Ingelheim to do business with us, they're all going to want to know that Solve.Care isn't somebody who will just disappear suddenly from their universe. So this is critically important to gain the trust of government agencies and hospitals and pharma clients and so on. So that's the list of what has gone on in the last 2 quarters, Q4 and Q1. Now let's go into what we are going to do. And I'm going to have to rise because we are running out of time, but there's a lot here that needs to happen this year. So the fundraising for GTHI is goal number 1. And we are working on that as a priority above all. And because the market conditions are very favorable and the window of opportunity is right in front of us, this becomes something that we need to really get done over the next 100 days, 120 days. Of course, the time is not in my hands. It depends upon a number of external factors, but we must do everything we can to not miss this window of opportunity, which the new EP5 program has presented. So that is absolutely priority number 1. And the fact that we are looking to raise about 25% more than originally planned gives us the ability to do more aggressive launch in the second half of this year. The second thing that I want to absolutely be clear about is that we need to launch Care Labs quickly. Now, Care Labs was launched initially where you could author a care protocol. And that was launched in last quarter. That's not good enough. Because what we need is not just the authoring of the care protocol, we need authoring of the care card, where we need a doctor, a pediatrician, an oncologist, an endocrinologist to actually envision the card and to be able to author it without learning blockchain, smart contracts, or even JavaScript. So the version of Care Labs that I'm looking for is a physician-authored care network. And that Care Labs is my priority number 2, getting that out in the market and getting that in the hands of physicians like Dr. Grasso and Dr. Lipkis and many other physicians who are waiting for us to give them this Care Lab so they can start building different types of care networks. This is very important, but this is being worked on. And I just saw another version of the Care Labs earlier today, and I liked it, but I wasn't truly happy with it. So I gave Raj feedback that I want some improvements done quickly, but it looks good. I think in the next 3 to 4 weeks, it'll look a lot better. The next thing that is really important to do is for us to launch the Care Marketplace. If you're going to support these devices, Alive Core and the Care Wallet and other device partnerships that we are working on, very big partnerships we are working on, we must make it easy for the patient to buy these devices in a manner that they're pre-configured for the Care Wallet, right? I don't want to ship a device to somebody where grandma cannot connect that device to the Care Wallet quickly and needs to call grandson and say, please help me connect this device to the Care Wallet. I don't know what to do. So Care Marketplace is a marketplace where we can sell devices, must be paid for in Solve and potentially in other crypto payments. We're not going to take dollar or credit card or debit card. It's either you pay in Solve or you pay in crypto. like BTC or even BNB. And the idea is that these devices, when you get them, are pre-configured to the Care wallet, which means that you open, you connect, and everything falls in place for you. And you don't need to download a manual and call somebody and somebody will help you. So these Care wallet enabled devices, be it a LiveCode or the others that we are working with, is what the Care marketplace is being built for. So the marketing team is working on it, along with the development team, to enable the launch of a marketplace where clinical devices can be sold and bought using Solve, and they will be shipped to you with immediate connectivity to the Care wallet. This is really big for us. The next thing we're working on is something that I consider very fundamental, and I talked about this at the beginning of 2021, which is pharmacy in the Care wallet. How do we insert a pharmacy into the Care wallet? How do we get a Care wallet holder to be able to submit a prescription in the Care wallet? And how do we get that prescription to be shipped to your home? And how do you do that in a global scenario? So you can do that locally. You can say, well, if you are in, if you are in Bangladesh and you can work, we can partner with a couple of local pharmacies and they'll ship within Bangladesh. But what happens if we are talking about cross-border consultation, where the doctor is writing a prescription from US and the patient is in India? How are we going to do that? So this idea of having a wholesale pharmacy fulfillment model has been a big initiative for us last year. And we have made significant progress in that area. And this year, the goal is to ensure that we can do cross-border prescription fulfillment from within the Care wallet, which means that GTHE and other networks that we build in the future have a pharmacy as a service built in. And that's a work in progress today, and lots going on there. Now, because we were delayed in raising the capital, we delayed our launch in Latin America to the full extent. We launched it only in Colombia, and we didn't scale it to all the countries as broadly as we wanted. But this year, the plan is to go back and execute on the full LATAM launch, but with pharmacy and diagnostic network support built in. Not just doing teleconsultation, but also building pharmacy fulfillment and potentially diagnostic lab and imaging and radiology center support as well. So this is work in progress. I want you to be careful to not over project, because work in progress is still happening. It's not done, finished yet, but that's what we're doing to ensure that as we launch GTHE with greater capital, we have immediate fulfillment capability from pharmacy and device/diagnostics. The next thing that we're working on, Sujata is leading this. She is looking at a partnership with physician group in the US, which is interested in serving non-US patients. So perfect fit for GTHE. And this partnership allows us to leverage an existing network of physicians who want to serve non-US patients. So this partnership is being discussed, and I think over the next 90 days, we will see if this can be clinically and regulatory-wise and financially made to work. But this is a very important initiative and needs to be done if we can make it work from a financial and legislative perspective. Regulatory perspective. The next item I want to talk about is LiveCode is a very important partner, and we are very grateful for their support. But there are other device types where you need, especially wearables. So we are working on, or rather Ahmed and William are working on, device partnerships of various kinds. Continuous glucose monitoring devices, wearable watch type devices, which can be fitted into the device to doctor custody of chain. So we are working with very specific device manufacturers, and one of them is a name that you will instantly recognize. But as soon as we finish that partnership and we announce it, I think it will be a significant win for both Solve.Care and for blockchain community to have that kind of a global brand attached to the Care wallet. And in general, to the idea of buying such a device with crypto, with Solve, and having that device data be automatically monetized through the Care wallet. The next thing that we're working on is we're working with Boehringer Ingelheim, our client, to build a new care network. Now, this is being discussed in terms of the scope. But as you know, that we built diabetes care network with them, and now they have asked us to author a brand new care network called shared decision making. And this is something that we think is a very good initiative on part of BI, and we're going to support them, of course. But the good news is that the STM will also be able to take advantage of devices and of the new care wallet. So this is whenever an existing client comes back to you and says, let's do something more, that's a very positive sign. We already covered the metaverse-enabled care networks, and we already covered the care lab. So let me talk about the last couple of things quickly. So we are currently working with the European Union. There is a specific program in EU that supports organizations that are doing innovative work in the European Union. And given we are an Estonia company, we have submitted a grant application for $3 million to build a care network that EU can use inside EU countries. And there is a lot of interest in the work we have done in Ukraine, and a lot of interest in what we can do from a device to doctor data custody. And we're going to bring some of those experiences together into an EU-centric care network, which we will build and launch. And the funding for this network is what we are seeking a grant. And our initial proposal was reviewed and was met very favorably. So the final proposal goes out in the next month or so, and we will have a decision by June, I'm told, or July, on whether the EU will grant us this money to launch a health network inside European Union. We already covered devices, so I won't give you that repeat. The last one is really important, or last two. The next version of the Solve.Care platform really focuses on three things. Solve as a gas for every care card sharing and care card activation, rapid authoring of the full network by a physician, and the ability of the wallet to support multiple devices. That's our goal for the next version of the platform, which we think when those three things come together, we will be able to see significant adoption at both government and at the institutional level. And we are already seeing good signs in talking to the hospital that I mentioned earlier, in the pharmaceutical partnership that we have with BI, and other feedback we're getting from AID and other agencies, that's the holy grail. That's the trinity of that we need to bring to market. And we are very close to getting all that wrapped up and delivered in 2022. And we've covered the e-pharmacy partnerships across cross-border partnerships in multiple countries. So that brings us to a summary statement. What is the priority? With that much going on, what do you really want to do? 5 things. I always set for each year 5 goals. Here are the 5 goals for the executive team to understand. First is to launch a version of the platform and wallet where every transaction consumes 1,000th of a solve. Launch Solve as a gas version of the platform with refreshed and updated care wallet. Second, raise $25 million for GTHI and to relaunch GTHE in Latin America with pharmacy and diagnostic network built in. Third, to ensure that we have launching care labs which allow physician-led care network authoring and an accompanying physician incentive program which pays the physician to author the network and then allows them to share in the revenue of the network. So they can be highly incentivized to launch regional, clinical, specialty-based networks. Fourth, to eliminate the current backlog. We have a huge backlog in care networks to bring those networks to market through the authoring environment. Our backlog is bigger than 5, but if we can cut through the backlog and at least release 5 care networks this year, whether it's the pharma network or the prescription network or the diagnostic network or the RPM or the SDM or the metaverse home hospital, it doesn't matter. I want to see that backlog cut in half. And I want to see at least 5 new networks launched this year using the new authoring environment. And last but not the least, bring the focus back on Solve token availability by listing on more platforms, by improving the liquidity on the decentralized exchanges, by restarting the mining of dCare, and definitely spinning out the Definitize into its own entity and allowing it to be funded and operated independent of Solve.Care Foundation. So those are my 5 goals. Solve as a gas version of the platform and wallet, capital for GTHI, authoring by physicians, launch 5 networks based on the backlog and demand we already have, and improve the liquidity of the token. So that's the summary. Now, I know that I didn't answer all your questions. And I probably couldn't answer them in a day, but I want to make sure that you understand where we are, how I feel about the company. And I'm going to ask the team to set up at least a 90-minute chat session with you, where you can throw your questions at me in a chat session where we can talk one-on-one or in the AMA format that you like. And we will set that up so that you can absorb everything I've said to you today, and then come back to me with a full salvo of questions you're going to have for me next week. And I want to have that conversation with you. I want you to understand, and I want you to be excited, but I also want you to have a realistic expectation of what can and will get done and what cannot be done in the near term. So thank you for your time, everyone. I want to end on a simple personal note here. The last 1.5 months has brought a lot of things into new focus. You don't really think about your life till you start hearing that the bombs may fall on your head or your family may not survive a week. It was a very interesting time where we were suddenly faced with the mortality of ourselves and our team, where the future wasn't as clear as it has always been. And I sat down and I asked myself many a nights, okay, what do I want to be remembered for? Is what I'm doing what I would do if my life was going to end in a week? And I came to the conclusion that I would do nothing differently. Other than to have more time with my kids and my family, I would do nothing differently. I would stay and build Solve.Care, even if bombs are falling around us. That what we are doing is absolutely life's work. And what we are doing absolutely is worth doing. So I have not, for one moment, said to myself, hey, if life is about to end, is this the right thing to do? The answer is absolutely. Absolutely, what we are doing at Solve.Care is worth doing. I'm very proud of what the team is doing. It has been a long journey and you've been very patient, but absolutely great things take time and we are on the verge of greatness. So I appreciate your support. I appreciate when you raise questions and hold us accountable. But in the end, I'm convinced and absolutely certain that what we are doing is the right thing to be doing and we're doing it in the right way. So thank you, everyone. Stay safe. Go home and kiss your loved ones and tell them you love them, because life is really short. And remember, the only thing that matters here is that we stay the course and we deliver. And in the end, we change the world for the better. Thank you and talk soon. Take care, everyone.